And please don't anybody think that the Liberty Beacon Project promotes violence. We do not. We strongly believe that there are enough of us in numbers that if we unite our voices, no power on the face of the earth can stand against us. There are the government estimates well over 200 million firearms in private hands in this country. Well over 200 million. We have more guns in private hands in this country than the rest of the world militaries combined. But Robin, we see the groundswell. We see the preparations. Where do you see this going? Because I firmly believe that if enough of us unite our voices, we can push back this tyranny.
Yeah, you're right. You know, that's always been the case in history. It's just a question of how long and under what circumstances, how long it takes and under what circumstances a society gets to its critical mass or to its tipping point. In succeeding in this take back of power, if you want to call it that. The most important thing people like us may say we're not at the beginning of this process, but in terms of awareness in the society, we're still relatively close to the beginning of this process. The most important thing is how we talk to each other, because what a lot of people who have some of the concerns that we have do, or what I see them doing, is maybe out of sheer desperation, insisting on trying to win arguments with everyone else. You're wrong, shake, shake. You can't see this. Let me tell you how it is. Which might be satisfying for a few minutes, and you might win the argument, but you don't win a supporter. You don't actually get that person to really step into your worldview and perhaps try on the way you're seeing things. And it is about numbers. When you are resisting concentrated power in the form of the state or a part of the state or some elite, you do need enough people. Now, you don't need a majority. You don't even necessarily need a very big minority, but you need a minority that is concentrated around few enough of the right ideas that they are all pulling in the same direction around those ideas, and they're not letting their differences undermine their efforts. So there's many elements to that. One is what I mentioned at the beginning of the show about speaking to those around you in a way that seeks common ground, where you're actually actively looking for the way to find the point of agreement rather than to find the principal disagreement. And it's always a choice. You can always choose one or the other, and you can always end up bringing someone into your team or not, or in some cases giving them such a bad experience that they're never going to want to talk to one of these liberty guys spectrum there. It's about, as I also said earlier, affirm the intention. Recognize that most of us have most of what matters in common, right? Even doesn't matter if we disagree on the destination, if we can all see that we've been going in the wrong direction and we need to turn it around and be going together in the opposite direction. Maybe some of us will want to go a bit further than others of us, but we can have that argument, once we've got our Bill of Rights back, once we're not killing children, innocent children in foreign lands, once we've taken down this crony corporatist monetary system, etc., right? There is so much that we can agree on. And the things that, again, in history, usually societies come together around are matters of justice or injustice, right? So again, this relates to the feeling that our everyday life is being impinged upon. Experiments have been done on this in laboratories. People will pay to put right injustice. They will hurt themselves to put right a perceived injustice. And as all of these political abuses against freedom come into the culture, there is more and more perceived injustice. And we must help people perceive injustice, because then it doesn't matter if they're left, right, liberal, Democrat, Republican, nobody cares, right? They will, as human beings, they will react to that. And it's in harnessing that we can stand up to power. That is how it's always been in history, working with human nature rather than against it. So the first thing that we certainly doesn't seek to put them down. So I would say before we do anything, before those guns come out, we've got to approach each other in this way.
So talking about people, because there is a huge difference between stupidity and ignorance. Okay? Anybody that feels stupidity and ignorance are the same thing, you're making a drastic mistake. Ignorance is the lack of knowledge to act upon a subject. Stupidity is having the knowledge to act upon a subject and still not acting upon it. So what we have in America is a very large portion, and nowhere near as large as it was even a couple of years ago, but still a large portion of this population who are ignorant. Not stupid, ignorant. And one of the points just made so eloquently by Robin is, we will not wake them up by telling them they're stupid. We will not wake them up by throwing our argument in their face and saying, why can't you see this? It's so blatantly obvious. We will wake them up by holding civil conversations and presenting them with knowledge, because the only cure there is for not ignorance is knowledge. Again, we go back to the root mission of the Liberty Beacon Project. It is to educate. It's to provide knowledge, to make it available for all of those who wish to seek it. The person who comes to the Liberty Beacon and reads an article, that person will influence at least one, if not two or three other people. And each one of those people will influence other people. Okay? If you stop and think, it's venues like this, it's venues like Vonvo, which give us a tool, a mechanism to alleviate ignorance. You're never going to alleviate stupidity. Stupidity is permanent. It will always be there. You won't make it go away. We can conquer ignorance. So that was very well put, Rob. We need to approach these people, because for every person you reach, that person will reach someone else or two other people. It grows on an exponential rate. In the last 2 years, I have seen the liberty movement grow from some of us who were struggling to get enough attention to make it worth us talking.
Because we're making good progress. And it's about the mainstreaming of liberty, not just purifying the ideas. Sorry.
No, don't ever apologize for making a good and valid point. Please. Because that's, again, exactly why we're here. So let me get this question over to Zine, because we're down to the 10-minute period. I thought it would be hard to fill a 90-minute video, and what I'm finding is I wish I had 600 minutes. But then, of course, a 10-hour session probably wouldn't fit everybody in the audience. So what we have here, oh God, yes. So what we have here is the need to educate, but we need to do it in a fashion that doesn't alienate. What I see in venues, especially on social media like Facebook, is the infighting between one group and another. Now, we both have liberty in our name, both of us, okay? And I'm just using generalities here. But because there's people in this group that don't like specific people in this group, we tear this group apart, and just by essence of being human, that group is now going to tear you apart. So what we have is infighting. And then we have people who are sitting on the fence, either liberty-minded or not, either going to be involved or not. And so what was stated by Robin is, it's not so much what we will say to them as how we present it to them. We need to present a unified faith.
Yeah, we need to start with the premise that there's this expression, divided we fall, united we win. So how to get there includes a process of, educating, if you will.
I've lost audio.
Yeah, sorry. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello? Can you hear me? Yeah, okay, so it's important for people to understand whatever output they receive from outlets like the media, the propaganda machine, and the political bandits, and all this is smoke and mirrors. It's meant to blind them, to be distracted. So the first thing they should do is disregard. Prove first that these people are absurd in their rhetorics, and prove them that actually they are. Then you see the irony. George Orwell, same thing. You thought that 20 years back, you'd think that 1984 is something out of science fiction. Now, back forward 30 years, and you're right in the middle of it.
Yes.
So this is what you need to do is you need to have people learn as much as possible. Get interested in politics.
Actually, one of his most famous sayings is 30 years ago, it was much easier, or 50 years ago, it was much easier to to control 1 million people than to kill 1 million people, whereas today it is much easier to kill 1 million people than it is to control 1 million people. When a statement like that comes out, that's reality in your face.
That's right. Look at all the banks; they never get prosecuted. Too big to fail. What the hell are these things? This is a scandal. Too big to fail.
That's true.
You screw up
but
in the
American
business, you go down.
How can a bank be too big to fail, but the American public is not too big to fail?
Brilliant thing. So let us understand our context, historically, culturally, psychologically. Let us remain optimistic. Let us remain open-minded. Let us not make each other wrong. Let us keep our eyes on the prize, on the direction, and not be so concerned with the final destination. And we will be okay. We can do this. We have done it in our history before. And by the way, our history goes back as a movement, as a tradition, long before 1776. We've got this if we want it.
The American public in general. For too long, we have not held our leaders accountable, and tyranny has been perpetrated. In 1871, they sold this country down the river. In 1913, in the Federal Reserve Act, they sold this country down the river. Need I go on? At no point when this tyranny, the NDAA, the Patriot Act, did this country unite in voice and rise up and say, bullshit, we're not going to take this. We don't want it. We don't care if you voted on it or not. So we have to realize and overcome the fact that it is our fault in a large portion that they have done what any government will do naturally if not held accountable.